Let's kick it.
Yeah, we at a house, yo, kick it!
Kick it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of American Soccer Quick Kicks. I'm your host, David Wright. It's been a few weeks since I've done an episode, mainly because not a lot happening in February. That's about the only month on the calendar that we can say that about. But we are now less than 1 week away from the beginning of the brand new Major League Soccer season. It kicks off on Saturday, February 25th. And there is now, with a new media deal in place, there is now a completely new and different way that these games are being delivered to a television audience, a new way for us to consume them. And I will touch on that here at the end of this video. But first, I wanted to take some time to kind of try to explain to new fans or perhaps non-soccer fans that would like to try to get into it, because I know I have a few of those watching this show. And that basically is the question of why soccer? But I just want to go over a few things that I really enjoy about the sport and why it appeals to me. The number one thing I love about this sport is that it's nonstop action. Like, it's nonstop action. I truly do not understand people who say they can't stand soccer because nothing happens. Like, what do you mean nothing happens? There's never anything that's not happening. The game is so action packed. There's literally not an opportunity for commercial breaks until halftime or till the game's over. Like, you watch these games, there are no commercial breaks for an entire half of the game, because there's no break in the action. There's no stopping. There's no, a 2-second football play, right? American football play. Ref blows his whistle. You huddle up. You line up. You do it again, and there's these little bursts of action that just takes place with long pauses in between, and you've got everybody calling timeouts, and you go into commercial breaks, and none of that happens, right? There are no timeouts in soccer. There are no huddles. The referee doesn't stop the clock. So it's nonstop action. Now, how to appreciate that action, like I said, that'll be the topic of another video. I'll try to articulate that a little bit. But number one, it's nonstop action. Like, I'm at the point now, I've watched so much soccer, I can't watch baseball. I can't watch baseball to save my life. It's like pulling teeth. It's watching paint dry. I don't understand how anyone can enjoy something that is so slow. I don't mean to trash baseball. I can go to the park on a beautiful spring day and enjoy being outside, enjoy the good weather, kick back with a hot dog and a Coke, and watch a baseball game and enjoy it. But the idea of watching a game on TV, I mean, you might as well be watching golf, right? It's a perfect cure for insomnia. But anyway, I love the nonstop action of golf, and you may choose to take that sarcastically. I love the nonstop action of soccer. The other thing I like about it is that there's basically no off season. This is a sport that is there's always something going on. The Major League Soccer season, it varies because they have to adjust the calendar every year, but typically it runs from February or March all the way into October or November. This year, I believe, I have to double check when the final is going to be, but it's going February to November. This past season, as soon as the MLS season was over, we went straight into the World Cup, and there was a U.S. camp in January. The only off season that Major League Soccer has is December and January. Like, February, there's nothing for us to talk about here other than the Club World Cup, which, by the way, Seattle did lose their first match and they made a quick exit, but they represented very well. They played strong. They looked like the better team for a large part of the match. They didn't give up a goal until the 88th minute, and matches only last 90 minutes. So it was in the late stages they finally gave up a goal and lost 1-0. But Seattle represented well, and all Seattle fans should be proud of them. So congratulations to them. But other than that, the only thing that's happened in MLS in the month of February has been preseason. Teams have been in camp. They've been playing preseason matches. And now we're getting ready to kick off the new season this week. So I love the short off season. There's no downtime. I always get depressed when American football season is over or the college football season is over, because you got to wait months and months and months before there's another meaningful game. That doesn't happen with soccer. And even in those dead months for American soccer, where December through February, the MLS league is not in session. Obviously, all the big European clubs and the Premier League, they're all still going on. You can watch those. So you got nonstop action, and you've got no off season. And the other thing I love about this sport, and this is something I think all sport fans should be able to appreciate, is that almost every goal scored is to some degree, large or small, to some degree, a product of improvisation. There's a moment of improvisation because the game is constantly in action, it's constantly flowing, and you've got to know what your teammates are doing, what they're going to do. They need to be able to anticipate what you're going to do. And it's just out of these moments of opportunity that arise through the flow of the match and just the chaos of the action, to be able to make the right decision and for enough people on the same team to make the right decision at the right moment with no margin for error that can result in a goal. And none of these can be planned really. I know you have set pieces, and I can get into that later. And there are things you can do, there are patterns of play that you can train, that you can practice on and try to create chances, and try to have repeatable actions. But the fact remains that to some degree, every goal that's scored is some moment of improvisation. And related to that is the fact that there are no timeouts, and that on game day, on match day, there's actually very little for the manager to do. All his work comes on the training field, because once the whistle blows and the ball is in motion, it's up to the 11 guys on the field. They've got to figure it out. And if they're being faced with tactics from their opponent that they were not expecting, they've got to figure it out, and they've got to make the adjustments, at least until halftime. Then the manager might have something to say at halftime. But you don't call a timeout, you don't huddle up, you don't get to send in messages, you're not doing hand signals. You see the manager on the sideline yelling and screaming and trying to get people to move and all this kind of stuff. The reality is that very little of that is heard. That's more nervous energy on the manager than anything else. It's very hard to communicate effectively to the players on the field. So they've got to figure it out themselves. And if you've ever been on a team in any sport, you know what that feels like. It's a cool feeling, that empowerment of just being on a team. You're out there with your brothers, you're in the trenches, and you've got to figure this out on the day and figure out a way to win. You've got to unlock the problem in front of you, and you got to do it on your own. So I think that's cool that a lot of this is unplanned, and a lot of this just has to do with instinct and feel and just individual skill, and to be able to know your teammates so well that you know what they're going to do. All of that's very appealing to me, and I don't see how any sports fan could not find that appealing. So the other thing about it is that the game is fairly simple. It's a simple game. You have a rectangular field, and your 11 guys have to get that ball into that net. The only catch is you can't use your arms or your hands. That's it. Everything else is, you keep the ball in bounds, don't use your arms and hands. It's that simple. About the only rule that gives people trouble is the offside rule. And that is something I will specifically cover in a video coming up very soon. But once you understand that, it's a little bit hard to explain, I've learned, but once you get it, it's actually it's a fairly simple concept in my mind. Once you're familiar with the rule, once you get it in your head. That's the only rule that gives anybody any trouble. It's a fairly simple game, which is probably related to the last reason I'm going to give, and that is it's a universal game. This same game is played everywhere. The highest levels in Europe to the lowest dirt fields in Africa or on the street alleys of Rio de Janeiro, the poorest parts of the world to the richest parts of the world, the same match is being played. I have had the privilege to see games played in Germany, in Switzerland, in Mexico, in Costa Rica, and I've even played with Sudanese people in Africa. And it's just amazing that no matter where you go in this world, everywhere you go, you can find this sport being played. And there's something special about that. There's something inspirational, something edifying. It just kind of does the human spirit good to see that there's this one sport that can bring everybody together. The Major League Soccer season is getting ready to kick off in less than a week on February 25th. Apple TV is now the new home for Major League Soccer. There's a lot I can say about this, but if you're going to watch everything they have to offer, you have to pay for it. You don't have to be an Apple TV subscriber. You can just pay for the MLS season pass. If you are an Apple TV subscriber, then you still have to pay a premium for Major League Soccer, but it's less than what a non-Apple TV person would need to pay. So you're going to get a lot of exclusive content. They're going to have a lot more supporting programming like pre-shows, post-shows, a whip-around show, a lot more studio analysis going on. It's going to be treated like a real sport, so to speak. They're pouring a lot of money into this. They're going to have the top commentators, analysis, play-by-play guys working for them. And of course, the trick is they expect you to pay for it when already people could watch it for free and chose not to. However, they do offer, I believe what I saw was 40% of their inventory will be available for free in front of the paywall. Now, you don't get to choose what those games are, so maybe your local team, your favorite team is going to be behind the paywall on a given week. Maybe the next week they're not, but there are going to be games available for free. There's content available for free right now. I downloaded Apple TV to my television for free. There's plenty of content there that you can watch for free. And then there will be some select games that are also available for free without paying anything. In addition to that, there will occasionally be games on broadcast television on Fox. I know that Fox will be carrying a game on opening weekend. So Apple and MLS are hoping that people will buy these season passes and unlock all the exclusive content. And you can do that. But right now, I'm not, because I think primarily because I want to see what's offered to everybody. And I want to be able to talk to my audience. I'm going to assume that none of you at this point are willing to buy a season pass. Maybe you are. If you are, let me know. I want to hear about it. But I'm going to, kind of try to consume this the way that a casual fan could consume it without having to spend any money. And I'll see how it goes, and I'll see what's available, and I'll understand it, because this is all, I'm still learning. We'll learn more as the season goes on. And then maybe at some point I'll probably break down and get the season pass, and I'll let y'all know about that too. Anyway, the MLS season starts this weekend. You can catch games for free on Fox. You can catch games for free on Apple TV, or you can pay the money and see any match you want to being played anywhere across the league. So until then, watch some soccer with me, and I'll talk to you next time.